What do you
She can't even walk.
You gonna pass out right now? Too much water?
My head hurts.
Oh.
They keep telling me that it's the water.
This is what it feels like when you're drowning.
Just hours later, Jennifer Strange died. The family's attorney asked the FCC to take the radio station's license away. But 2 years later, the FCC has done nothing with that Entercom station. Instead, it has rewarded Entercom with 14 additional station licenses.
Let's look at it two ways. Either Entercom doesn't have the chain of command, in which case, why are they given licenses? Or they did have a chain of command, and they approved this. Again, why are we giving these people more radio licenses? Why aren't we thinking about pulling some of these licenses away from them?
Today, most people don't even know we can challenge a station's license. Not one person in Minot did.
Did anybody ever challenge a license of the radio station here in town?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, but...
Vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin sure knows what it means.
Come January 20th, when I am sworn in as vice president, you guys had better knock it off. Otherwise, we'll have to get NBC's broadcast license revoked.
Let's go to the FCC's website to find out how one does challenge a station's license. License? Challenge. That gets us nowhere. All right, you can surf around the FCC's website forever, but if you don't know the secret word, you're never going to find it. The secret word is petition to deny.
Jane Acree and Steve Wilson spent thousands of dollars on a Washington law firm to challenge WTVT's license for violating the FCC's news distortion policy.
So we filed a challenge to their license, really based on the facts that came out in our case. Nothing new here. We filed that in January of 2005. And here we are, many years later. The FCC has not ever gotten back to us with anything. They've not responded. They've not sent us a thanks for sending your complaint. We're looking into it. Email, letter, nothing, zero, absolutely nothing. And you understand the whole premise that the airwaves are a precious commodity. There are very few of them. So to get these licenses, broadcast licenses for free, broadcasters are supposed to act in the public interest. It's the deal they make for getting that privilege. That's their mandate. And that's what the FCC is supposed to be overseeing. I haven't seen any evidence of it.
Okay, time for a little more information about the FCC. 5 commissioners head the FCC. The president chooses 3 from his own party and 2 from the opposing party. It was President Bush who set the agenda through 2008. In 2003, Bush appointee Michael Powell tried to consolidate the media even further.
And wrote rules that match the times.
If they got away with what they wanted to do, you can end up in a community where you have one large corporation owning the daily newspaper, radio stations, television stations, the cable outlet, in one community.
Their profits would go through the roof. I mean, they could strip down to one newsroom without any competition.
Now you tell me that that sounds like democracy.
It didn't look good. 3 of the 5 members of the FCC were Republican. They were all pretty much on the record as saying, even before we consider any evidence, we want to get rid of these rules. I mean, they'd gotten their marching orders.
But the public found out and rose up against the new rules.
We understand we got about 3 million people to weigh into the FCC. That's almost, 1 in every 100 Americans. I didn't even think that many people knew there was an FCC, let alone how to get their information to us, but they did. They were really concerned about this.
Powell's FCC approved consolidation anyway.
I believe we did our job, and I believe we did it well.
But grassroots media reform activists had a surprise for him.
So when the FCC clearly didn't listen to the American public, we knew that it was our time to act. And so with the Media Access Project and many other plaintiffs who joined onto our case, we told the FCC that we would sue them, and we took it all the way to the 3rd District Court of Appeals in Philadelphia.
The Court of Appeals in Philadelphia reversed the FCC's decision and directed it to conduct a do-over.
That do-over meant the FCC had to hold more public hearings about consolidation. They held 6 between October 2006 and November 2007. People spoke about corporate media keeping popular musicians off the air.
What really is the travesty of it is all these fans and all these people that have grown up in these communities listening to those radio stations, it's just gone. To me, that is just the most anti-American thing I've ever heard of in my life. I think it's awful.
Wow. It's altogether such a different business that if they boss you around like you're a piece of trash or something, you know. They don't treat you like an artist.
About the demise of independent producers in Hollywood.
However, the days of independent producers taking his or her creative vision on a series or movie of the week to completion is a thing of the past.
Democrats and Republicans joined in opposition to more consolidated media.
But a competitor can start a local bank or a restaurant. You just can't go in and start a radio or TV station because the airwaves are finite. And not only are they finite, they're owned not by the seller, but by the people.
But on December 18th, 2007, the Republican members of the FCC voted to allow broadcasters and newspapers in the same town to have the same owner.
Allowing cross-ownership may help to forestall the erosion in local news coverage by enabling companies to share these local news gathering costs across multiple media platforms. Today's order amends the 32-year-old absolute ban on newspaper broadcast cross-ownership.
Last time the Commission went down this road, the majority heard and felt the outrage of millions of citizens in Congress and then the court.
And they're hearing from citizens once again. There's a new lawsuit from Prometheus Radio and Media Access Project and a resolution to disapprove the FCC vote by the U.S. Senate.
We have visited this issue previously. I think there is too much concentration in the media, and the FCC rule moves in exactly the wrong direction, adding more concentration.
Preventing more media consolidation is a bipartisan effort.
Hey, look, this is not a partisan issue.
We had multiple votes on both sides of the aisle in the Commerce Committee when this was last discussed. So there were people on the Republican side and the Democratic side that supported our position. At all.
Not so with the Fairness Doctrine. Republicans are trying to make sure the FCC can never bring it back.
So what does your legislation do?
The Broadcaster Freedom Act, which I'm happy to report is now co-sponsored by every single Republican member of the House of Representatives, and at this taping, one Democrat, would simply do this. It would take the power away from the Federal Communications Commission to restore the Fairness Doctrine without an act of Congress.
But there are new battles yet to be waged. Time after time, at hearing after hearing, people complain about licensing.
You must require at least half of all broadcast licenses in every market to go to local interest, local control. Doing otherwise violates the public trust you vow to honor.
And I'd like to say that broadcasting is a lot like driving. It's not a right, it's a privilege. And if I get caught driving recklessly, endangering the public, I lose my license. It doesn't matter if I own 1,200 cars. Okay? Okay.
They don't have the right to do this on the public airwaves. Take their licenses. It's pending before you right now. How many people here would like to see Clear Channel lose 6 licenses for this kind of broadcasting?
Jane Acree took her turn at the mic at the FCC hearing in Tampa, where WTVT is licensed.
In January of 2005, my husband and I challenged the operating license of the Fox Zone station right here in Tampa. We had proven in court the top ranks of management engaged in news distortion. Resisting had cost us our jobs. More than 2 years later, we have yet to receive any response from the FCC on the status of that complaint.
So why is the FCC ignoring license challenges? It's the only tool the public has to hold stations accountable. I called the FCC to learn how many petitions to deny licenses they have, and also when's the last time they revoked any station's license.
I have been told that since 1996, virtually no licenses have been revoked at all. And I'm trying to confirm or deny that.
The press and public can use Freedom of Information Act requests to demand information from the government. They have 20 business days to respond. In the meantime, Jane Acree finally got her response from the FCC's Media Bureau. Remember how, for Acree to win her case, the judge told the jury she'd have to prove the station deliberately tried to distort the news. And then WTVT said this.
I think we are completely vindicated on the finding of this jury.
The FCC said they were confused whether WTVT distorted the news. And in any case, they would not be bound by some state court's decision. Her petition to deny had been denied.
And if you stand up to the FCC, all you hear back is BFD no.
Commissioners, I'm a broadcast journalist of 20 years, currently making a film about media issues called Broadcast Blues. On July 16th of this year, I filed a Freedom of Information Act request with your Media Bureau to find out how many petitions to deny broadcast licenses are currently pending in front of the FCC. I also asked, when is the last time any station ever had a license taken away? By law, the FCC is to respond to me within 22 days. It has been 4 months. I have heard nothing. The petitions to deny licenses are the only means that we, the people, have to hold stations accountable to the public interest. If you will not stand up for we, the people, then I have news for you. We, the people, are standing up for ourselves. This is our media, and we are taking it back.
Gotta take it back. One choice you're gonna make.
What's it gonna take? The democracy's at stake.
We're taking it back in our schools.
The first thing I do is I hand cameras to students and I get a sense of the power in the camera, because you know what? You can change the world with these things.
We're taking it back for reporters.
If this FCC rule change goes through, St. Louis could end up with just one newspaper and one TV station, all owned by the same company.
We're fighting for the internet before big media can control that.
Keep the internet open.
We're putting up our own low-power radio towers. Remember, the airwaves belong to us. If we, the people, don't take the media back, no one will.
No more